Oh, good evening, Phillies fans, and welcome back to the Fighting Spinal here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, which boy Matty B on the call. That's right. The prodigal son has returned, and so have the Phillies tonight. 2-1 winners, taking the 3 out of 4, taking the series, winning 3 out of 4, taking the series against the Marlins. 75 games now in the books, and at 45 and 30, things are swinging in the uptake tonight. Really, listen. I've said this all along. I'm not gonna drop any profound wisdom on anybody tonight with this. The one thing the Phillies have got going for them, and what they have had going for them for the last 3 seasons, has been that damn starting pitching. And tonight, once again, they get a dominant effort from Chris Sanchez, potentially, I think, and I'm going out on a limb here, his best start ever as a Philly. And I'm going to tell you why I think that, because not only did he go 8 very strong innings, but his pitch count was only at 91 when they lifted him, and he probably could have come back for the 9th. Now, in the 9th, Kerkering gets the opportunity to save. His stuff was nasty. It was moving all over the place. Alec Bohm was kicking the ball through the infield. But despite all that, Kerkering was able to lock it down for career save number 2. And maybe it's starting, with Kerkering as the closer. I've always said that too. I thought Kerkering was a closer on this organization. I thought, going out and trying to find a closer was, somewhat a futile thing, because I thought we had one here in Kerkering. Now, whether or not you believe in Kerkering, and he has not been that locked down. I know his numbers say he's been locked down, but as Barber has said before, he's come in and inherited a lot of runners from other pitchers, and they have scored, not necessarily going up against his ERA. So, but all in all, tonight, pitching wins the day, and Kyle Schwarber comes through late in the game with the go-ahead home run and gives the Phillies a 2-1 win, and we are on our way home to face the Mets in an interesting, important series that will be featured completely on national television. Tomorrow night, Apple TV, Saturday on Fox, and on Sunday, that's right, folks, they get the Sunday night ESPN game. So hope you enjoyed all your NBC Philly coverage for the Phillies for a while, because it's on to prime time as the Mets will come into town and battle the Phillies over the weekend. But let's focus on this game. 2-1 winners, Phillies tonight, and a very good game. It was. Bohm almost cost us the game there. Yeah, he did. And so did Otto Kemp, man. I mean, come on. Now, I know Otto Kemp's not making decisions to go for home on his own. 2 very critical base running mistakes tonight by Kemp put the Phillies somewhat, taking runs off the board. I don't necessarily believe Otto Kemp should have been going for it there in the 9th, trying to score. Gunned down, like, by a long way. But, yeah, man, the Bohm is Bohm, and it's what Bohm is. He's gonna win you some. He's gonna lose you probably a lot more than he wins you. Yeah. Well, way to go, Sanchez. Absolutely, man. Again, Hubert, I know we somewhat come out on the same side of the same coin when it comes to this baseball team. I don't believe either. Okay. I don't believe they're a World Series winning team either. But I've said this all along, from the dark days of 2023, I guess, when they kind of when the starting rotation began to kind of click. As long as they can go out there and give you 7 innings of solid starting baseball, pitching-wise, they're going to put this team in a position to win. And they've been doing that, and thank God for the starting pitching, because without that starting pitching, this team is not 15 games above 500, and they're certainly not in a position over the weekend to potentially go back into first place in the NL East. It has been the starting pitching all along, and pitching does win championships. It does. Other things do too, but it's really a testament to this organization and their starting pitching. And Chris Sanchez, I said this at the beginning of the year, was that big contract, was that going to get the best of him? Was he going to come out and live up to those expectations? And so far, so good, man. So, yeah, he was outstanding tonight. Again, as I said, maybe his best effort as a Philly. I know there have been some strong efforts from Sanchez this season and in last season as well. But what I love the most about tonight was there was a decision that had to be made about him going back in the 9th, because that pitch count was at 91 through 8 innings. That's old baseball. It makes my heart feel good. That's old-timey baseball. That's 1990s baseball, that your starter has an opportunity to go back out there, because not only is his pitch count at a manageable number heading into the ninth inning, but of course he's been so locked down and so dominant. It's a win. It's a win. It's a win. It's a win. Sanchez, 8 innings pitched. Absolutely. How does the base coach get benched? Rob, seriously, at least we get rid of worthless Wilson. Yes, and as Hubert Gaffney Racing Stables LLC intonates towards, Phillies made some roster moves tonight, or ahead of this game. Weston Wilson down, Buddy Kennedy up, and Aaron Nola transferred to the 60-day IL. Is that spell the end of Aaron Nola in 2025? And we are going to have an opportunity. We have overtime tonight on this. Matter of fact, there's a lot of stuff happening as we speak on this network. I am going opposite the attacking third, because I got a lot to do tonight when it comes to this stuff. So I can't wait till 10. But the attacking third is happening. So if you don't want to watch me, make sure you bounce over to them and watch some soccer stuff. But after the Titans final, we are going to go right into the final word with Manny B. So I'm going 2 for tonight. I'm going to do It's a Wrap Sports Network first. 2 shows in 1. I'm going to try to pull that off tonight, as we'll get to the final word right after this show. But yes, Aaron Nola, 60-day IL. Does that spell the end of him in 2025? I'm just glad Robbie let Sanchez go 8, and I'm also glad to see Kerkering closing. Yeah, Michael, it's almost like as if Rob Thompson actually knew how to manage with feel tonight, right? It was almost like he was watching the game without that silly binder or getting analytic numbers pumping into his head. It was almost like baseball that we all love, pure baseball, not driven by analytics, but driven by gut. 91 pitches through 8 innings is such a beautiful thing to see, and gave Rob Thompson some options in the 9th to potentially go back to Sanchez and then go with the guy that I think all along is your closer. I've always said this, and he's got closer stuff. He's had closer stuff. Something was not clicking in between his ears, and things kind of went haywire on him. But tonight, Kerkering pitched like a freaking closer does. Came in there. Now, his defense didn't help him, put him in a bad spot, but he pitched out of it just like a closer does. I would like to believe this is the start of something routine. I don't think it is, but it was great to see the Phillies play baseball tonight. Real baseball, not 2025 baseball, but real baseball. Makes my heart warm and feel good. And yeah, absolutely. Good defense by Kemp. Yeah, Kemp played some good defense tonight. Terrible base running. And why was Harper not on this trip? Isn't he? His shoulder's all messed up, man. He might be on his way to the 60-day IL. Listen, there's some things happening right now, man. Aaron Nola's huge. Going to the 60-day IL for Aaron Nola. I'm sure it's retroactive to sometime in late May, but still, it's huge. I think Aaron Nola's done for 2025. I think he is. I think we've seen the last of him. Now, we do have some depth there at starting pitching, and it shouldn't necessarily really affect much, but is Harper on his way? They're being real close-lipped about Harper's problem, about that shoulder or elbow, whatever the hell's wrong with him out there. But what is going on with Bryce Harper? Is Bryce Harper on his way to the 60-day IL? I can't help but love them, and Sanchez has come a long way from when they got him from the Rays. Absolutely. And we mentioned this, again, as I said, I mentioned this sort of going into this season, though, was that contract, was he going to be able to live up to the expectations of that extension he got? And thus far, he's given us that option at 4. And in a postseason rotation, you're going to need 4. And if Nola is gone, which I think he is, you're looking at what? Wheeler, Luzardo, Sanchez at 3, and then Suarez at 4. Then you move everybody else to the bullpen. And it provides you that option there. And it's a key pivotal option that the Phillies are going to maybe have to use, because with the uncertainty now around Aaron Nola, is Chris Sanchez might have to actually step into a bigger role, which I'm not saying he's not already doing that, but come postseason time, it's time to earn that money. So, and he's come along. You're right. He's come a real long way. This Phillies team has a whole lot. This Phillies team as a whole team this season has made a lot of bad running mistakes, not just tonight. Dusty Wolfman's like, first of all, they don't listen to Dusty out there. And we know that. And I listen, this team is not a fundamentally sound baseball team and no stretch of the mind. They're not. They're absolutely not. But what they have is dominant starting pitching. And I know it's tough when you want to take runs off the board, man, especially with this team and the offensive struggles. And we're going to get in on the other side. Gene Cabrera, man, good God. I mean, the Marlins are what they are, but they definitely had Alcantara is lost in space somewhere. But if you can get Alcantara to go in again and you got Cabrera, I mean, listen, if the Marlins are truly like in the dumper and they think they need to reset it all, Gene Cabrera could be a very interesting trade topic come the deadline. It would take a king's ransom to get him, but man, that guy was good tonight. And that guy's been good all season long. And again, Alcantara is not the Alcantara of 2 years ago with the Cy Young, but maybe a change of scenery is what he needs as well. You know, the Marlins could be a very interesting topic of other teams come trade deadline time. And I'd like to see how that kind of works itself out. Old time baseball tonight. Indeed, Mike Lauro. Indeed. The Mets lose again and get swept. Yep. Swept at the hands of the Braves are doing it to him down there. Ricky's watching. Ricky, how are you tonight, man? Good to see you again. Good enough. What was good enough, Steve? Kirk to save. Second save of his career with Ryan Kirkering tonight. Phillies were able to pull this thing out. But we're going to get into some of the other things that I saw in this game that are not too good. But his sinker is fine. Yeah, listen, Steve, man, his stuff was moving, crazy moving. I mean, the bite on that first pitch curveball that he threw at the beginning of the inning, I was like, oh God. And then the bottom fell out of pitch number 3. I mean, listen, he looked again like a closer. He looked like 2022 Kirkering. Is that 2022? 23 Kirkering. It looked nasty. I'm telling you, he's got closer stuff, man. Someone's just got to commit to him being a closer. And again, that's a big get here. I get that. But I think he's got closer stuff, and he's had closer stuff from the very beginning. And again, losing him in the closer role tonight, watching Sanchez go 8 dominant. It's like I was watching baseball in the 1990s again, and it was great. It was awesome. It was absolutely great. Mike Lauro, the Mets didn't lose yet, down 3-1, top of the 6th. What game are you watching? He's watching the fantasy game. So Dave Yarnold pointing out that the Mets have not lost. Who cares if the Mets lose or win? It doesn't matter. Sanchez signed an extension of 4 years, $22.4 million, covering him through 25-28. They got him cheap at $5 million a year. It's looking like it. It's absolutely looking like it as he's really kind of rounded into his own this year. And then obviously with the rotation as it is going forward into those years of 25 through 28, how much does Zach Wheeler got left to go? You know, you're looking at Aaron Nola, the uncertainty that is him now. You got Ranger Suarez, who's a free agent. And you got the young kids coming up behind him. Is Chris Sanchez the future ace of this staff over the next 2 years? So it's good to have that waiting in the wings up to this point, the way he's pitched. I agree with you. I mentioned, I said losing. Oh, yeah. Again, who cares, man? Before June Kirk's non-slider was just a show me pitch. Now it's got some run to it. It does. Run. Man, things running all over the place, man. Absolutely running all over the place. Hello, Ricky. How are you? Good to see you again. We might tie the Mets tonight. Now, the Mets are definitely in a bad way. Their entire pitching staff that was nothing to begin with is really falling apart. Juan Soto, as wearing out his welcome and all that. Pivotal series over the weekend here in Philly with the Mets. One of those watermark series where you can kind of stick on the wall and say, okay, here's where the Phillies are and here's where the Mets are. It is not the season. I am not telling you that. I'm just saying this is a pivotal series. 2 out of 3 is definitely kind of in order here, I think, for the Phillies to take in order to kind of keep the good vibes going. Now, offensively, this team still is not breaking doors down. I mean, they're still struggling to get runners on. They're still struggling to get runners in. But again, if you have that starting pitching, in which the Phillies have, Zach Wheeler will go tomorrow against that pesky 20-game winner undecided, as the Mets have not made up their decision yet of who's going to start. You put yourself in that position right off the bat with Zach Wheeler as the offense continues to sort of, I'm not going to say find itself. That's not what I want to say about this offense, because this offense is lost. It's been lost forever. There's no finding it. You're going to find Jimmy Hoffa before you find the Philly offense. I think it's what it is. And it doesn't change still some of the problems with this team offensively. But if you continue to get this type of pitching, and they have, you're definitely going to ride it to October. What you do with it in October is unknown at this point. There's still some problems. And I know when you prioritize the Phillies' problems, and I've always maintained offense is my number one issue with this team. They got to figure out it. They got to figure it out offensively. Starting pitching is down there at the bottom. I don't even think it's on a list. And then the bullpen is the number 2. But the starting pitching has never been in question with this team. And now that Nola is transferred to the 60-day IL, again, what does that mean long-term for Nola in 2025? That starting pitching now is going to get tested. Mick Abel is going to get tested. Mick Abel's now going to have not the sample size. He's going to have a meat size of a opportunity to showcase what he can do at this level starting, now. And I don't think this changes my opinion about what they should do with Painter. I still think they should sit on him down in the minors for the entire season. I'm not interested in seeing Painter here until 2026, but Mick Abel's got his opportunity. I clamored for that opportunity. I begged the Phillies to give it to him. He got it from due to an injury, but whatever, you seize those moments. Now he's going to have that opportunity to either stick with the Phillies or potentially be a good trade bait option for some teams later in this season. But he's not going to show or have the opportunity to show what he can do as a major leaguer. So you got to look at the positives of some things. And we'll get more into the Nola situation later on tonight, because I'm going twofer. It's right, twofer. Right after the Titans final, we're going to transition directly into the final word. As I have been negligent in coming on the air over the last few days. Harper's wrist and Nola. Is it his wrist or is it his elbow? That's, again, another thing with Harper. What is it? Just like it was Nola's ankle, then it was his ribs. Why are we playing the shell game when it comes to injuries? What is wrong with the players? Or do what hockey does. Upper body, lower body, abdomen. Do something like that. Don't throw out some phantom issues and expect us to buy it. But, Hubert Gaffning Racing Statos LLC points out it's the Harper wrist, but is he on the DL or IL for the wrist or the elbow? Because it wasn't the elbow like oozing pus at some point. So what is going on? Great win. It was, Joe Hale. Are the phone lines not on this show, Ricky? This is the Titans final. I'm doing Phillies postgame right now. We'll talk about it when we transition over to the final word. Ryan, how are you tonight? Joe Hale says, how was umpiring yesterday? Same as it is every day. Taxing beyond belief. No, it's fun. I'm having a blast doing what I love to do. So it's been fun. I'm still wondering why the Marlins lifted their starter in the 7th. Made no sense. The kid was pitching a great game. Yeah, and there's Dave. You mentioned that Cabrera pitching a great game is really the understatement of the year here, because Cabrera was 6 1/3, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. Obviously, you don't want to see those walks get there. 82 pitches through 6 innings, so a little labored. Phillies were working some counts on him, but when you figure what's behind him in the bullpen, you're right. But I guess when you're working a young staff and young pitchers and trying to kind of figure them out, there is that magical number on the wall where you're like, listen, yeah, it's a great effort, but we're done. Let's move on and focus our attention to next season or next season, but next game. Again, it's not night, as all the wonderment of this game brought me back to the 90s when they took Cabrera out for a magical, mythical pitch count number that they want to keep. That's brought me right back to 2025. So it's preserving arms, preserving the pitcher. I mean, it's looking at the season, looking at the whole body of work. But you got to wonder if you're a Marlins fan, and judging by the sound in that stadium, there ain't many Marlins fans out there. But if you are one of those few Marlins fans, I mean, what is the long-term prognosis of your franchise? Barbara has come on my other shows before and really blasted cities like Pittsburgh, Colorado, Miami, for really Oakland, I guess maybe in a lesser way, but have blasted those towns for just being non-franchise worthy. And whenever you can only put 4,000 people into a stadium, and 3,100 of them are rooting for the road team, I mean, there's definitely something wrong, and something needs to be fixed. And when you don't have any winning prospects, I don't know, for the next 5 to 10 years, and it seems to be that way every year, are they truly worthy of a franchise, the Marlins? I would much prefer the Montreal Expos to return. I would much prefer to see, the A's find a permanent home, than to kind of deal with some of these other franchises that are just stuck in the mud when it comes to losing and show absolutely no interest in winning at all. I know we as Phillies fans, imagine being a Marlins fan. God, man, I'm banging my head against the wall every night. But that might have been why they lifted them, because there's no prospects of winning, and it's all about preserving for the future for some magical run that could occur 10 years from now. Who knows? Strom duties, he needs a DL visits he can't afford. You know what? I've not given up on Matt Strom. I still like Matt Strom. He's a baseball card collector. Again, I don't feel that they've ever given Matt Strom his proper spot in this bullpen. Matt Strom is a 6th, 7th inning guy. He has no business coming in the 8th. He's got no business coming in the 9th. I can live with him in the 6th and 7th inning. The Phillies don't seem to understand that, and they don't. Again, it's that bullpen with committee thing. I keep on having to jump on that, but that's really, I think, the problem with most of these pitchers out there in the bullpen is that we don't know what they are, because they don't know what they are here. They can't get comfortable on a night-to-night basis. And seeing Kerkering, again, I'm going to go back to this, seeing Kerkering pitching the 9th after an 8-inning performance by Sanchez was just old-time baseball. And maybe that's what Kerkering is. I mean, keep him in the 6th and 7th inning where he belongs. Strom is not a guy like last year. Yes, he is, but they're putting him in more of the wrong positions than last year. Star Wars, everybody else out there. Again, we're losing sight of the idiocy of Rob Thompson and the way he manages the bullpen and the way he manages the lineup. There's no routine. There's no consistency in the way he approaches his day-to-day operation on his team. So how can you be so down on the players when they don't even know what they're doing day to day? It's baseball, man. These guys need that routine. What did I hear? Lunacy that I hear coming out of Mike Laro's mouth the other day. I caught that this morning. Tell me that. What was it, Mike? Let me refresh my memory on this. To get up, it's fruitless or pointless to get upset when players don't run ground balls out, because nobody does that anymore. Man, what the hell are you talking about, man? Nobody does that anymore. That's got to be the biggest homer bunch of crap I've ever. I mean, just accept the fact that some of the Phillies are not held accountable because their manager doesn't hold them accountable, and they don't go out there and give 120%. To sit here and make a ridiculous statement like players don't run ground balls out anymore, or because they want to pull a hamstring. Good God, man. Are we opening up an annex to the friggin' excuse emporium? Mike's Homerama? I mean, good God, dude. Just say that the Phillies are not held accountable by their manager. It's okay. You're not breaking news to anybody. We already know that's happening. But to sit here and say that baseball players don't run out ground balls anymore because they're being paid too much money is absolute lunacy. Let me recant that. You're right. They aren't doing it. But to say that you shouldn't hold them accountable for not doing that is absolute lunacy. Come on, man. How deep are we going to go into Homerland? Geez Louise, dude. The Phillies are not held accountable by their manager. It's not breaking news. We know this. But to sit here and make a ridiculous statement like that, nobody runs out ground balls anymore. You just have to watch. Come on, man. What the hell are we doing here? Jesus Christ. Matt, no, they are not open on this show. Ricky, this is the final. This is a post-game show. And by the way, as I mentioned, if you're getting bored of me and you want to check out some great Union soccer coverage and MLS coverage, head over to the Attacking Third, running parallel with me. This is also a first where I'm stepping all over one of my shows on this network. I'm sorry. Depending on the Mets' health situation, it's kind of a watermark series, but they're banged up. Either way, Steve, the Mets are ahead of the Phillies right now. Either way, I get it. They're banged up, but it is still a watermark series because this could be, they go out and they get swept. We could look back at this series quite a lot like we look at the damn London thing last year and say, that's when it really kind of came off the rails, right? Now, is this series, if the Phillies sweep the Mets, and maybe even if they get swept, that's a factor long-term into the season? Probably not. But where the Phillies have been lately, the up and down, the yo-yo-ness, the inconsistency, to see them go out over the weekend and take 2 out of 3 from a beat-up Mets team, I think needs to happen for all of our collective psyches, right? I don't want to continue to lose sight of the problems with this team and the things that need to be changed, but going out there and keep plugging away and win 2 out of 3 for the Mets, because I guarantee you they get swept or they lose 2 out of 3, we're singing a whole different tune come Monday. And you know that as well as I do. I'm not excited with the Phils except the starting rotation. Last 4 years, streaky and inconsistent when struggles are happening with the lineup. It's every hitter simultaneously. I don't like this. Oh, I hate this lineup, Ryan. I agree with you, man. I said that. But as long as they can continue to go out on a daily effort, every day, every 5th day, every day of the 5 days, and get kind of starting pitching that they usually get, they're going to put themselves in a position to win. Now, are they wasting efforts from their starters all the time? And that's frustrating too. Are they wasting efforts like what Zach Wheeler does on just about a daily basis? Yeah, they didn't waste tonight's effort, but they almost did, because they couldn't get anything going offensively either. But if you go out there and you get this type of pitching, you're going to be in a position to win. Now, can you win a World Series? Could the Phillies win with this starting rotation, win a World Series? 100%. I think they could. But they're going to have to start hitting at some point. Some point, we're going to have to end the madness and start hitting. But as long as we get the starting pitching like we've gotten, we're putting ourselves in a great position. Strom should have never made the MLB roster with those mechanics. You can't pitch off balance. He's using the force. Listen, Matt Strom's struggles are exclusive to this season. Last year, when did he get here? He got here in 23, right? I mean, he had a couple of lockdown seasons. Again, I'm telling you guys this. It's as simple, in my opinion, as putting him in a friggin' 6th, 7th inning role and keeping him there. He's got no business being in the 8th or 9th inning. He doesn't have that kind of stuff, right? He's got that hold stuff, not that save stuff or the setup stuff. He's a hold kind of guy. And they don't put him in that position on a consistent basis. He's all over the friggin' spectrum out there. I honestly believe Kerkering, Strom, Alvarado, there's talent there. It's just, you got to give them a role, and you got to, let them grow into that role. And that doesn't happen with this team. Yeah. I said it last year, and I will say it again. Last year I said it, that they're not going to win a World Series with a bullpen with no roles. This year I said it, but I've added on to the fact that the lineup, they're not going to win a World Series with this lineup or a bullpen without roles. But it's a simple fix, man. It's not like, honestly, I know you got to go out and potentially get some extra bodies. You do. The bullpen does need some arms. But how much better would the bullpen be if these guys had roles? And they knew from a day-to-day, this is what my job is. I don't know. I think this is an epitaph that we don't spend enough time talking about. I know we talk about it like we understand it, that we see it, but I don't think we really spend enough time discussing this, because I think it's a bigger problem than we're giving it credit for. People talk about it like, yes, I know baseball. I see the roles, no roles. I understand the effect on this team, but I don't think you really do. If there was with roles in the bullpen, I think a lot of the problems with the bullpen would be self-corrected. Now, yes, they need some arms, but I'm telling you, man, where would we be if there was roles out there? Is there maybe 5 or 6 more wins? I don't know. I don't know. Hubert Gaffney Racing Stables LLC. Listen, folks, again, let's get back to what we came here to do, and let's break this bad boy down. Let's talk box score. Let's talk Phillies. Let's talk Marlins. Phillies on the night. 2 runs on 6 measly hits. 1 error, the costly Alec Bohm one, or I should say the almost costly Alec Bohm error in the 9th. For the Marlins, 1 run on 6 measly hits and no errors. Offensive standouts for the Phillies. There are none, except, Bryson Stott had himself another 2-hit night. Bryson's starting to pick it up. Look, I like him batting low in the lineup where he belongs. But of course, you got to give it to Kyle Schwarber, the big home run late to give the Phillies the win, not the win, but the lead, and they were able to hold on. Offensively, there were some hits scraped out here. Again, Stott had 2 hits. He was the big offensive force for the Phillies. For the Marlins, same thing. You got to look at Hernandez with 2 hits, and that's pretty much it in a game that was very much so a pitching battle. And let's talk about the said pitchers. Once again, Chris Sanchez with the win. He is now 6-2, 8 dominant innings, 5 hits, 1 run that was earned, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. And Orion Kirkering with his second save of his career with an inning, gave up a hit, got into some trouble because of they gave it to him. Gave up a hit, but that was after the error. Got into some trouble there in the 9th inning. Again, defense didn't back him up, gave up that hit, but he was able to pitch his way out of it for the win. Cabrera, 6 1/3, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts, 82 pitches over those 6 1/3. Gibson, Bender, and what's his name? Good God. Bellozo also pitched for the Marlins in a losing effort. Let's talk scoring summary. It was the Marlins striking first on the infield single by Forbes to make it 1-0. Then Stott would ground into a fielder's choice, scoring Bohm to tie it in the 7th. And then the Phillies go up on the 8th with the Kyle Schwarber monster shot to right center field, 428-foot jack to make it 2-1. And that is how things would end. The Phillies 1 for 3 tonight with runners in scoring position. They have now once again fallen below the 260 mark as team batting average with runners in scoring position, 258 in game 75. They left 5 runners on base. Marlins left 5 and were 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. A complete pitchers battle tonight. A very good pitchers battle between 2 very good young pitchers. Chris Sanchez coming out on top for this one for the Phillies as they get that 2-1 win. And that's your scoring summary brought to you by the great programming here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, like the aforementioned Attacking Third. Again, I'm stepping all over the Attacking Third right now. They are on parallel with me. So if you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, I'm 1 panel to the left or 1 panel to the right or 1 panel below or above from the Attacking Third. So hop over there and give those guys some love as they're giving you the best in MLS soccer. And also it's brought to you by the final word with Matty B is, again, tonight we are doing a It's a Wrap Sports Network first. We are going twofer. I'm going to end the program here a little bit and then transition right into the final word, normally seen at 10 p.m. But why wait? Let's get right into the show as we will transition right over to the final word at the end of this program. So Phillies with the win. Let's go back to your comments. And I have no clue where I left off. There was one going on. Yellow's been going. I agree with the issue. SRAM slider. Kennedy. Whoa, man. Okay. I really wish there was something like a little mark I can leave to where there it is. Is it right here? Okay. Strom is not the guy like last year. I remember talking about that one. Phone line's open. Okay, here we go. The outfield is bad. Outfield's terrible. I mean, on the broadcast, they kept saying, "Oh, Brandon Marsh is," and he has been hitting the ball hard, but he's been making hard outs. And Otto Kemp, missing that home run tonight, man, that would have been nice. That would have been nice. What do they say? You got to get to the weight room there, Kemp. You got to get that home run out. But yeah, the outfield is bad. It's terrible. I don't care if Brandon Marsh is swinging the ball or hitting the ball hard. He's making hard outs. All right. He's got to start getting some of those things to land. You're absolutely right. When is Tony Dick man back? You talking about Sal? Sal's out, man. Sal's taking a hiatus. I don't know when Sal's going to come back. I haven't spoken to him for a while, so I may re-energize Sal, giving him his summer off. Sal's always welcome here, no matter when he wants to come back. Marsh is not a center fielder, right fielder, bench player at best. He's not, man. Marsh is garbage, man. Marsh is a battle scar that will always be reminding us of Logan O'Hoppe. Well, reminding me at least. And I'm telling you, the only reason why Brandon Marsh is still with his team is because Dave Dombrowski doesn't want to admit to the world by dropping Marsh that the trade was bad. Yeah, that's all this is about. It's about sucking every ounce of trying to get Marsh to work because he doesn't want to have to listen to how he was the one that traded Logan O'Hoppe away for this sack of potato. Honestly, and that's my opinion. That's the only reason Marsh has been given this opportunity as long as he's been given it. Because on any other situation, any other team, he would be gone. I mean, the guy's been dreadful. Marsh is seeing the ball very well. 3 hard hits. Yeah. Again, Steve, I mean, I got you, man, but we're entering Big Al excuse emporium territory here. You know, oh, he's hitting the ball hard. He's making outs. I mean, he doesn't have to hit the ball hard. Just got to put the ball in the right spot. You know, I mean, I don't care if he hits it soft. I don't care if he bloops it over to the shortstop's head, gets on base. I don't care how hard the outs are. They're outs. I like the Phillies kept Kemp over Wilson, and Buddy Kennedy is hitting in AAA, batting 283. Listen, Buddy Kennedy ain't the answer either. Otto Kemp ain't the answer. I mean, he's not. Weston Wilson, though, was certainly not the friggin' answer. God, thank God he's gone. Hopefully we'll never see Weston Wilson again. I don't think we will, but Buddy Kennedy is not the answer. These are all Cody Clemens 2.0 type players, and I don't need a Cody Clemens, man. And can Buddy Kennedy be asked to come off that bench and produce at a 283 batting average at the Major League Baseball? I don't think he can, right? I just don't think he can. Now, again, the bench is not what the bench used to be. And I mean that holistically in terms of what these guys, there are no more Greg Grosses, Matt Stairs. There are no more professional pinch hitters floating around out there. That's a dead art. I get it. But is Buddy Kennedy really the best option there? I mean, I guess he kind of is. You know, he's that tweener, that fringe type of guy. But don't forget, if they decide to move on from Buddy Kennedy, again, he's got to be DFA'd. There's no more options there for him. So there's a chance he could go the route that Cody Clemens does when they do drop him, because they got to release him. Does he get picked up by somebody? You know, I guess the Phillies are casting their stones and saying, whatever, Buddy Kennedy, whatever you can provide, you're going to get the shot right now because this is it. And you're going to have to go away after that. But he's just a Band-Aid player, man. And again, another Band-Aid situation. And I know I'm not going to sit here and try to go over trade scenarios with you because I don't like any of them. I don't like any of the trade scenarios that the Phillies are linked to. I'm not all in at all about giving away prospects for rental players in their 30s. And I don't trust Dave Dombrowski to make those moves. And maybe that's the biggest problem. I just don't trust Dave Dombrowski to make the moves. He hasn't done it at all well since he's been here in season or trade deadline moves. Has any of them worked out? No, not one. And we've lost some assets along the way. And eventually teams are going to come knocking for the big ones, the ones that are, got the future of this organization written all over it. And I don't trust Dave Dombrowski with that. I don't trust him with it. I don't trust him not to trade Justin Crawford for freaking Cedric Mullins. I honestly don't trust that because I could see a scenario where it happens. Because I don't trust Dombrowski. Lance Diaz is my favorite of an umpire. You got favorite umpires? Dudes, when Wilson was going good in AAA, everyone said call him up. He didn't play here, so he struggled. Guys can sit on the bench. I 100% agree. Weston Wilson needs to play every day. But that makes him a tweener. That makes him the AAA guy. And Buddy Kennedy, I feel is the same type. He's the same type of player. They got to play every day. And again, the Band-Aid situation. The Phillies are constantly throwing Band-Aids over things. Why don't we unblock some situations and let these guys play every day? Otto Kemp could not come off the bench, right? Because he's not that type of guy. He's too young. He needs to play every day. Buddy Kennedy needs to play every day. If every player played every day, there wouldn't be any players struggling at all. But no, you're right, 100%. And I do remember the Weston Wilson clamoring for him. I absolutely remember it. And he comes up and he can't. Sal's bricked up. He probably is. Kennedy will ride the bench and struggle too. I agree with you. Strom's slider and cutter are optimal right now. Are not optimal right now. I'll give you that. But What is the best way to remedy that? Because we've seen Strom do it in the past. We know he can. We know he can pitch. Are the Phillies doing him a disservice by not giving him a defined role until at least he works his way out of this struggle? Right? And that, of course, would be ridiculous because once they give him a defined role, he works his way out of the struggles, and then they yo-yo him again. But again, how much of this struggles are because he just doesn't know what he's doing night to night? I agree with the issue he's being. I agree with the issue that he isn't being used or coached by 100%. You can say that for a few of the players on this team. Mike L has been going off the reservation lately. Didn't he have some bad wrestling falls? I don't know, but when he was talking about how I don't know if you saw this, Steve. He did the final last night, and I didn't catch it till this morning driving to work. When he was talking about how players, you shouldn't get mad. I think somebody brought up the Bryce Harper. I think it was Bryce Harper not running out a ground ball or whatever. Whatever. I think it was on the realm of the Castellanos situation. I know he wasn't benched for that, but they were talking about somebody. I think it might have been Barber brought it up about Bryce Harper not running out ground balls, and he brings up the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard anybody ever say. And I've heard some craziness, and I've spoken some craziness myself, to say that doesn't exist in baseball anymore, and that players should not be held accountable for that because it doesn't exist because these guys are getting paid too much money. And they might pull a hamstring. Damn near almost ran to a tree. All right. I was as floored by that statement as I was Big Al's when the birth of the Excuse Emporium occurred it was around this time last year when he was telling me that the Philly struggles coming from London and through Boston and into Baltimore were because they haven't seen their mom in 2 weeks. They've been taking showers with shower shoes on, time zone problems. I've never. And I almost hit a tree that night too. So I had the same effect from Mike Laro's comments about players don't run out ground balls or should not be held accountable for running out ground balls anymore because it's too costly. They might pull a hamstring. I get it. I know homers are a certain type. And they'll go to any lengths to support their team. And I God love them. But whoa, come on, man. Wow. Man. I mean, whew. I just don't have anything to say about that, man. It just blew me away. That was me. He was going off on the run. Oh, was it you, Hubert? On the run and blast out managers should bench those, not us. I thought it was Barbara. Apologize, Hubert. Yes, I heard that. And again, I apologize on behalf of the It's a Wrap Sports Network, Hubert Gaffney, Racing Stables LLC. I will apologize for that because that was out there, man. That was out there. Absolutely, players should be held accountable for not running out ground balls, and absolutely, managers should hold those players accountable. Our manager doesn't, and I'll agree with Mike there. Ours doesn't, and I'm sure a few don't, but they should. And to actually think that should be accepted, I mean, good God, man. You were 100% right. That was a disappropriate lack of hustle yesterday. It was concerning. Keaton Anthony and Crawford are baseball boners for Philly. Keaton Anthony, man, from IU. Newly promoted to Double-A, Keaton Anthony, rocketing up through the Phillies minor league system. And Justin Crawford are baseball. Listen, I think we're taking Keaton Anthony. Listen, he's been on a rise, man. I think he went from, what was it, low A last year. Now he's in Double-A, with a little pit stop off in Clearwater earlier this season. Yeah, I mean, listen, Keaton Anthony's a good story, man. And he's got a little bit of, what do I see when I look at Keaton Anthony? Was it like maybe Anthony Rizzo comp a little bit there? He's a slasher with power. You know what he reminds me of what we thought Mickey Moniak was going to be, But yeah, I like his progression. Oh, and also I did hear Mike. You brought this up to Mike yesterday, and he referred to Keaton Anthony as the kid from the Boston Red Sox. And that's no fault to Mike. I think he was referring to Roman Anthony, which was the current or the former number one overall prospect in all of baseball, who just got recently called up to the Red Sox. So Roman Anthony and Keaton Anthony are two different people. One plays for the Red Sox and one plays for the Phillies. And if you've watched the Down on the Phillies farm segment, we have talked a lot about Keaton Anthony over the past 2 seasons as he's sort of hit his stride in the Phillies system. Now in Double-A, real shot, I think, Steve, finishing the year in Triple-A. I really do. When you make your way from high A to Double-A before June, which he did, you have an absolute shot of getting an opportunity at Triple-A during the current season. And that would be most beneficial for the Phillies, to give them another option next spring when the team goes down the Clearwater, and invite Keaton to pro camp, to the Phillies camp. Give him a look-see. I don't think he was there. Was he there last year? I don't remember if he was or not. But give him a real hard look at next year. Start him at AAA in 2026, and potentially we could see him at sometime this time or All-Star break of next year. Another option. But it also scares me about Keaton Anthony and about players like Gabe Raconis Jr., to a lesser extent, Eduardo Tait. What scares me about them guys there, Steve, is they're not the A-list prospects, right? They're not the Troffers, the Millers, the Painters, but they're that next tier down. And those are the players that teams are going to say, okay, I know I can't get Crawford out of you, and I know I can't get Aiden Miller out of you, and I know I can't get Painter out of you. But what can I do to get Keaton Anthony out of you? What can I do to get Gabe Raconis Jr. out of you? And I know you got a catcher way down in the minor leagues. What can I do about him? That's what scares me about a player like Keaton Anthony, is what Dave Dombrowski might do with that. And that scares the living bejeepers out of me. So stay tuned on the rise of Keaton Anthony, whether it's with the Phillies or somebody else. So Raconis got pulled from the game yesterday today in the 6th inning. Do you think a trade is coming? God damn, Joe Hale. I had no idea that comment was next, folks, when I just said that. You know what? He's part of that. He's part of, now you're talking about Raconis Jr. or you're talking about Racones. There's 2 of them that they play on 2 different teams. But if it's Raconis Jr., yeah, listen, there's some concern, as I just alluded to. There's concern with that tier of player, that tier of prospect with me, because they're the ones that teams know they're not getting Justin Crawford. Teams know they're not getting Aiden Miller. They know they're not going to probably be able to get Andrew Painter, but they can probably get a Raconis Jr. They could probably get a Keaton Anthony. They can probably go after a Eduardo Tait. A player like that. It scares me, man. It absolutely scares me. It terrifies me, actually. But I don't know if the trade's coming or not. Funny question. What was the funny question? Once Stram closed out the NLDS series versus the Braves when Topper got a Stram stiffy. Yeah. He's not a closer. And that's the problem, man. Agree 100% roles are needed. Let's start with manager, then we can fix the role issue. I've said it. I said it till I'm blue in the face. This team will never win a World Series the way the bullpen is run. I think they got talent out there. And I was keeping this stat, like I stopped keeping it around game 50. But up to game 50 of the season, I was keeping track of it. The Phillies had only run out consecutive lineups 6 times through the first 50 games of the season. So that means only 6 times did the Phillies come back from one game to the next with the same lineup. That is that's utter negligence. That's not even letting your batters get comfortable in roles or in positions within their lineup. It all is symbiotic in this game, that all the homers want to say, well, that's baseball. They want to use that as an excuse, but they're right. It is baseball, but there's a lot of things that are baseball. Giving players opportunities to get comfortable in positions on the field, positions in the lineup, positions in the bullpen, and in the starting. It's all about comfort and consistency and routine. And I'm not making this up, man. This has been around since 1876 when this all started. And the Phillies lack that with all aspects, with maybe the exception of the starting rotation. They don't allow their bullpen to get comfortable in a role. They don't allow their lineups to get comfortable in a role, and they don't allow their fielders to get comfortable out there because they're constantly switching people around. Again, I go back to the 1990s reference. Watching this game tonight brought me back to the 90s. But then I was brought back to 2025. It's a recipe that's worked. It's a recipe that's worked for hundreds of years prior, And it's a recipe that still friggin' works even in this age of analytics. Let these kids and let these guys get comfortable in a damn role. And the Phillies don't do that. And it's as plain as the nose on your face. We all see it, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody, I think, wants to admit that it's that basic, that it's that easy, that simple of a friggin' fix to say, all right, this is what you do in the bullpen. Hey, this is my lineup. We're not switching it. I don't care if it's a lefty or a righty. I don't care if it's an ambidextrous pitcher. I don't care if Kent DeColve is out there side-arming. This is my lineup. If we did that, would we be in a better place? Would there be more consistency with this team? The one thing it lacks. Inquiring minds would like to know. 7-1 Braves. Well, there you go. The Mets did get swept. All right, let's go to the Broad Street bottom line. Simply put, tonight's Broad Street bottom line, it was all about the pitching. Pitching, and 90s baseball, baby. That was my two Broad Street bottom lines. Pitching and 90s baseball all kind of married together, and it showed why it worked before and it can work again. And the Phillies got a much gritty, grindy out 2-1 win in a game that, let's face it, they don't get that effort from Sanchez and they don't put Kirkney in the right spot there. They don't win that game, right? Because offensively, they weren't doing nothing. But it's a recipe that's worked for hundreds of years prior. But for some odd reason, the Phillies feel that they can change it all up. But tonight, you saw why it works, because it does. And there's my Broad Street bottom line, was consistency and pitching and 90s baseball. There you go. On to the round the bases. All right, let's take a look around Major League Baseball on this Thursday. Let's talk about some of the games that have gone completely final at this point. It was 12-5 Minnesota over the Cincinnati Reds. It was 7-3 Yanks over the Angels. I had an opportunity to go to Yankee Stadium tomorrow. I am not going. I don't want to go to Yankee Stadium. It was 4-3 Nationals over the Rockies. It was 9-2 Tigers over the Pirates. It was the Cardinals 6, the White Sox 4 in the first game of a doubleheader. And it was the Brewers 8, Cubs 7, Royals 4, Rangers 1, 9-5 Diamondbacks over the Blue Jays, 2-1 Giants over the Guardians, and it was 8-6 Cardinals over the White Sox in the second game of a doubleheader. Cardinals with the sweepage. Games that are currently in progress as we speak. They are in a rain delay in the second game of the Pirate Tiger freaking doubleheader. It's 4-4 in the bottom of the ninth inning. It is 7-1 right now, bottom of the eighth, Braves Mets. So that game is not gone final. I misspoke. And it's 4-1 Orioles over the Rays in the top of the seventh. The Astros, A's, Padres, and Dodgers all a little bit later on. And there you go. There is your round the bases on this Thursday night. And that, folks, is going to take me to the end of an outstanding 1 hour. And I haven't gotten through all these damn comments. But you know what? Don't worry about it, because I'm coming right back. So I'm going to leave some of these comments up. Stay with me. And I will be right back, literally. And when I say that, I mean it. I'm coming right back with the final word. But before I do, the Phillies, of course, will return home tomorrow against the Mets. And here you have it. Here's our Fighting's final lineup for you for this weekend. Big Al on Friday. Pat Bernard on – actually, Big Al is not on Friday. I just was getting text messages as I was doing this show. Something's going on with Al's electricity. So I don't know if he's going to be on tomorrow night. Somebody will be here on Friday. Pat Bernard will be here Saturday. And I will come at you on Sunday in the series finale, as I am now 18-6 as your host of the Fighting's Final. And yes, we have the updated host standings through 75 games, which will be posted a little bit later on, as I will handle all that. But listen, thanks for joining me here on the Fighting's Final. But again, I am not kidding. Stay where you're at, because I'm going to come right back with the final word in a matter of seconds. But before I do, there's one person I got to hear from. Harry K. What you got?
He had high hopes. He had high hopes. He had high apple pie in the sky.
everybody. Welcome to the Final Word with Matty B. You might have seen me recently on the Fighting's Final just about 5 seconds ago, but here I am. It's the Final Word. That's right. The second half of our doubleheader here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And, of course, the conversation tonight is solely fixed on the Phillies, but we got some other things that we can bring out. I talk about anything on this show. I do want to apologize. This is our final episode of our broadcast week. A week that really, I dropped the ball, man. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna sit here and sugarcoat it to you and say, I did a great job. I did a terrible job this week, as I was a consistent MIA from the microphone at this particular time slot. But you gotta cut me some slack, man. I mean, I'm busy. So very busy in the summertime. I am Mr. Summer when it comes to working. So I don't work at any other time of the year. This time of the year. So I've been real busy, and I will continue to be busy, but I will do a better job. Who needs sleep, right? It's a crutch. You're sleeping up when you're dead. You know what? I'm just going to power through, and I'll be back here with you as much as I humanly possibly can. But listen, welcome to the Final Word, and it's great to be back. Of course, the conversation, as I mentioned, is totally fixated on the Phillies. 2-1 winners tonight over the Miami Marlins down there in South Florida. But as we are kind of, again, transitioning to a different show, I do want to throw out a few other topics for you. Of course, the big thing that I have not even discussed yet this week, I have not even brought it up because I didn't have the time. But the WIP thing, and listen, I grew up on it. I grew up on 610. Howard Eskin is king to me. He will always remain king. I would love Howard Eskin to come work here on this network. It would be the greatest thing that could ever happen to me. And I grew up listening to 610 WIP. I did. And then 94. I don't like it anymore. And I don't like it because of the usual Homer reasons. I just think the hosts suck. I just don't like them. But they brought up an interesting thing this week with the top 11 athletes in the city. And then, of course, everyone wants to go to the Jalen Hurts conversation. Why is Jalen Hurts being left off that list? Well, maybe because he's not a great athlete. Maybe because he's an actual game managing quarterback that I defy anyone else to tell me how significant the team would have not have won the Super Bowl if, say, a Kenny Pickett was the quarterback. Because, well, you already know my stance on Jalen Hurts. But I would love to kind of dwell into that conversation here tonight. I know others have done it throughout the week in nauseum. I do not have disdain for anyone who keeps Jalen Hurts off of their top 11 list, or again, why 11? Or any top 10 athlete list in this city. I do not. I support that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I have to listen to the homers throw up about Jalen Hurts on a constant, continual basis. So it's okay to hear from the other side of the aisle. And you know what? I kind of agree. Maybe not necessarily keeping him off the list because he is a good athlete. But are we misunderstanding a top 11 athlete for like something else? I mean, are we misunderstanding what they were coming out with these lists about? Was this list more of about being an athlete? Because I don't think we know who the top 11 like pure athlete. I mean, that's a weird question. Or would a more appropriate list have been the most valuable to their team list? But 100% agree. Jalen Hurts should not be in the top 5. He could be on the list later on, but not in the top 5. He's not. He's not. Again, is it more of a who's the most important athlete to their team list? Is that the more important title? Is that how people are deciphering this as a slap in the face at Jalen Hurts because he's not being given recognition for how important he was to the Eagles, which I don't think he was that important. He wasn't. You take Saquon Barkley off that team, they don't win a Super Bowl. You take the defense's effort off that team, they don't win a Super Bowl. You take Jalen Hurts off that team, I think they still win a Super Bowl. I honestly do. I don't really see what you are all seeing. And throwing out this nonsense about the Super Bowl MVP. Really? I don't remember anybody gushing over Nick Foles this way when he won the Super Bowl MVP. It was just he's the quarterback. They got to give. But now when Jalen Hurts wins it, it's all of a sudden a meaningful trophy to the quarterback. So that's on the table. The Flyers are rounding out their assistant coach searching list as we get closer to the start of the It's already actually begun. Florida Panthers, by the way, congratulations to the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers as they defeated the Edmonton Oilers once again. And Sergei Bobrovsky, I didn't want to talk about that, but we can definitely talk about that. But the Flyers are gearing up for one of the most influential off seasons that we've had in many years, with opportunities to make some moves via the draft, via free agency, and via trade. We can get into that. We are going to talk about another NHL draft prospect tonight, as I'm running out of time, and I still got about 15 of them to go through before we get to the start of the NHL draft. This day in Philadelphia sports history as well. We'll also do that, and our card review segment. All are on the table tonight, and anything else, honestly, that you guys want to throw at me, I'm all ears. And I'll remind you that this program is dedicated. Yeah, it's dedicated. No, it's sponsored, or it's proud to sponsor such awesome programming that's here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Again, please give us a like, a share, a subscribe. Help us out. Help us grow the network so we can provide you more of this great content. Like this show and like this one, the wraparound with Pat Bernard, seen exclusively here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network every Friday night at 10:30. And of course, the other one, the big one, is the PNM and the AM program. That's every Sunday morning at 9. So help us out. But let's get going. Let's get it rocking and rolling. Here we go. And I have no idea, because I've literally stayed in the same studio that I was in doing the Fightins final, and I have no idea where the hell I left off on these comments. So bear with me as I kind of go through. Oh man, where in the hell did I leave off? Okay, I remember that one. Okay, I think I'm on the right track. Okay. Feels bad when it's yeah. Okay, I remember all this. Okay, I think I'm catching up. All right, here we go. Death taxes, Steve. We're going to start here. I don't know if this is where I left off, but we're going to start here. Death taxes, Crawford and Anthony have hits. So that's everything in the world that you can count on is death taxes, Justin Crawford and Keaton Anthony hitting. It definitely seems that way, doesn't it? And also, all the talk surrounding Cedric Mullins. And I know I saw a couple of comments here about Cedric Mullins. And of course, we'll continue the conversation about Phillies as well. Anything you want to talk about. But I'm just not into giving up a prospect. Yes, granted, it's not going to take much to get a Cedric Mullins, but he's a 31-year-old rent-a player. I was thinking about this today. When was the last rent-a player that anybody ever brought in that actually took them over the top? I'm having a hard time thinking of who that was. Can anybody help me out with that? Who was the last rent-a player? And when I mean rent-a player, I mean under contract for the remainder of that season. But when was the last rent-a player, the missing piece to a World Series championship? I can't. I'm drawing a blank. And if you guys can help me out with that, that's great. But as far as the Cedric Mullins stuff, the Luis Roberts stuff, names that I've been hearing kicked around out there, I know it's not going to cost a lot to get them. And I know it's not going to cost Justin Crawford, Keaton Anthony, maybe, but in theory, it's not going to cost a lot. But I'm not interested in giving away pieces of the future for rental players anymore. And again, as like I said earlier, I just don't trust Dombrowski to make the right move there. So he hasn't succeeded at all in doing that at any point in his tenure here in Philadelphia during the season, making trades that are going to take this team over the top. Matter of fact, each year they get worse. Last year was terrible. And we gave up 3 big-time pitching prospects. We got 2 back in Seth Johnson and Moises Chase. Seth Johnson is a tweener. Right now, he can't seem to stick in the majors, and he's, above average good in AAA. Moises Chase is one level lower down there. God, Reading? Actually, no. He's in Jersey Shore. Maybe got some potential. But I'm just not interested in giving up any more pieces to my future for rent-a-hack. I really ain't. So, again, and the first question, I guess, of the night is, when was the last rent-a player, and I mean rent-a player, the straight definition of a rent-a player, A guy that had that year on his contract left. When was his last time that player came onto a baseball team and was truly that missing piece? So I think that's a little overrated to begin with. So I'm not interested in giving up any more pieces for rental players at all. Casty, Kepler, Rojas, and Marsh are not good. I agree. 100%. The comedy line of the night, Kruger says, do you think the Marlins are making a mistake pitching to Stott? Haha, Stott is 239. I don't think they were afraid of his wrist. I laughed out. Absolutely. Bryson Stott has been picking it up over the last couple nights, but Bryson Stott's batting. I think he was batting he was batting 232 going in, right? Or he was batting 239 going in. He's batting 242 now. Absolutely. You're not making a mistake pitching to anybody in this Phillies lineup. Not anybody in any situation, with maybe the exception of a Trey Turner or a Kyle Schwarber. No, come on. Does anybody really fear this lineup? Kepler is better than Cassie. Yes, Kepler is a keeper. Kepler is working, and I'll agree with you. But we have nothing in center. And, yeah, we have Castellanos in his detrimental comments going on there in right field. So you're right. Cedric Mullins stinks. What the fuck is Mike looking at? I agree. He's batting like 250. I mean, he's 31, Steve. I asked the question. I asked this a lot, man. What are we doing? Do you think the Phillies should look at JD Martinez, who's still a free agent, as pop off their bench? But again, what's he doing as a free agent still? Mike, no. The whole bench piece, and I blame baseball, Mike Papernick. The art of pinch hitting is dead. It's dead in the ground. Teams don't use it anymore. They don't rely on it. And of course, now with your DH in both leagues, it's a lost art. I think the optimal bench player is somebody that can go out there, get on base, and be fast. I don't really think. I think they look at speed more than they look at power when it comes to the bench these days, or they might even look at defensive ability more than they look at offense as a bench player anymore, because that's kind of what I'm seeing, But no, again, JD Martinez is sitting as a free agent in June. I'm not really interested in that. Schwarber needed that. Yeah, he's been struggling, but a big-time home run. Harper always runs hard when he's on hits and takes extra bases on the ground. He doesn't for the reason you said, Matty, because of pulling. Harper always runs hard when it's on hits and takes extra bases on ground out. He doesn't for the reason you said, Matty, because of pulling hamstrings. Well, I didn't say that, Ryan. Mike Lauro actually said that. And listen, I don't deny that it happens. Of course it happens. But the whole question of should players be held accountable when it does is really that's at stake here. And they, of course they should be. And if you're setting a precedent that your players don't have to run out ground balls, or if your players should be held accountable when they get caught looking at long drives deep into the outfield, like tonight Kemp got kind of caught looking at his, should they not be held accountable for that? They could cost the team a run for that. And I don't care if you're Bryce Harper or if you're Armando Sosa. It should be across the board even when it comes to that, because, I don't care. You gotta hustle, man, every play. Keith Anthony equals Michael Kadire. I don't think so. Do you think so, Steve? Michael Kadire? You see that in him? I see him more of a Mickey Moniak if it worked out. Moniak was compared to Christian. Oh, God, I remember that. I do remember that. Bro, Anthony's hitting 387, and I know he is, man. He's killing it, man. DeMartini is, he got promoted a couple weeks ago as well. Carson DeMartini, a 2024, I want to say fourth round pick of the Phillies. And Dante Nori, the first round pick last year, is not happening. He's struggling a little bit as he's trying to find his way through the minor leagues. They said, like Rob, the ebbs and flows, fire them, ebbs and fires. Oh, man. Robbie, as bench manager for the Yankees, must have hated to watch Mariano Rivera being ran. And you're not. It's not the first time you've brought that up, Michael. For years, he sat and watched the greatest closer, perfect his craft night after night. And why the hell was he anti-Mariano Rivera? Did he not like Mariano? Did he not like Enter Sandman? Was there a problem with that? Was he shaking his head every time he comes out? Like, I don't know why we're going to Rivera every night. I mean, I don't know how you could be exposed to such dominant, the greatest, the greatest save, closer of all time in Mariano Rivera, and then be so anti-roles for your bullpen. You're right. It boggles the mind, Michael Papernick. It boggles the mind. Yes, Barbara, you caught me on the back end of a doubleheader. I just finished with the Titans final, and now we're rolling right into the it's a wrap, or it's the final word. It's always a good win, but at least these last 2 days, I wish we would have hit better, especially against the minor league pitchers. Well, tonight's pitcher on the Marlins was dealing. Cabrera, not a minor league pitcher. Cabrera is the real deal. He's got a sub-4 ERA. I'm not saying he's, Sandy Alcantara before the trouble hit. I'm not saying that, but I would love to have a Cabrera on this team. He was friggin' pitching amazingly. Remember when Howard used to call people geniuses? Yes, he still does it, actually. He has his own little podcast now. You guys should go check it out. It's on every Wednesday and every Saturday. This new 16 WIP is show. No, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I refuse to listen to it, but it was, they scratched an itch this week and really pissed some people off. And I love to see that, man. I love it when homers scramble. I love when homers go into protect the nest mode, because it's comedy, man. It's absolute comedy. But listen, let's stop there. And I will remember where I left off. I'm looking at it right now. Let's go into this day in Philadelphia sports history. So let's strap in, strap on, strap up. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we go. On this night, back in 1955, in a 1-0 victory over the Chicago Cubs, the Phillies tied a record for the longest shutout in club history. Winning pitcher Jack Mayer tossed more innings in relief, 8 of them, than the starter Ron Negre, who only threw 7. So a 15-inning, 1-0 victory over the Cubs, the longest ever shutout victory in, I guess it was the major in club history. So then not a real sexy one, but a 1-0. That must have been a snooze fest to watch. 1 run in 15 innings, where the reliever got more pitches or more innings than the starter did. So there you go. There's your day in Philadelphia sports history from 1955. So let's get back to what we're talking about here. Jalen is better than number 11 Ranger Suarez. Is that who somebody had as number 11 on their list, as Ranger Suarez? Listen, I have not sat down and done a top 11 or a top 10. I'm not gonna do that, but I think it's actually a stupid list to talk about because it's so subjective. We don't know what the athletic prowess of some of these guys are. Matt V. Mitchkoff, really, if you think about what he does on the ice, I mentioned he's doing it on ice, flying around at about 60 miles an hour, getting blown up every other time, having to stop on a dime and pivot on a dime on the ice. I mentioned on the ice. I would think that is probably the most athletic of any of the players in this town. Anyone that does it on the ice. And I'm not just saying it because I'm biased to hockey, but when we're talking athletes, athletic ability, he's doing it on skates on the ice, and he's performing at should have won the Calder Trophy, but he didn't. But he's on the all 24, 25, all NHL rookie team. But if you look at it that way, I would have to give it to Matt V. Mitchkoff. And if you also look at about the way Lane Johnson has done it for all these damn years, being 300 plus pounds, dealing with all kinds of depression issues, all kinds of torn this, blown out that, but has done it at a Hall of Fame level for 15 some odd years, in that line of work. That to me takes a hell of a lot of athletic ability for a man that size to perform that well at that job. And Zach Wheeler, in that case, for what he does every 5th day over a 6-month plus season, as dominant as he pitches on the regular, takes more athletic ability than a lot of the guys that are on these lists. So I think it's turned into a Jalen Hurts defense type thing. It's the homers rallying to the cause. Defend number one. Because once again, the realists are out on the attack. So if we're talking athlete, I think we got to be real. You got to look at this a little bit deeper, right? And you got to look at the overall body of work and the overall what they do or how long they do it and how well they do it at. And Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, I have graphics, but they're in the other studio. I don't want to flip over and get them. Saquon Barkley, and again, we can talk about him. The man had an all-time type season, rushing the football. But Saquon Barkley accounted for 36% of the total Eagle offense in 24. 36% of the offense ran through Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. You take that out. You remove that from the equation. What is Jalen Hurts doing back there? He's throwing YOLOs for his life. He runs well. He extends plays well. But does he play the quarterback position well? I don't think he does. He plays it okay. He's a starter. He's an above-average player. Yes, he's Super Bowl champion, all those things. But that doesn't mean we have the greatest quarterback in the world playing here. No, it doesn't. Again, I go back to Nick Foles, what he did at the end of that 2017 season. Coming in cold. Taking the team really on his shoulders through the playoffs into the freaking Super Bowl against a player. Now, you can debate it back and forth. Was the Brady-led Patriots more of a dominant situation than the Mahomes-led Chiefs? Similar situations, absolutely. Dynasty teams, similar ramifications. But in the Foles game, it was Foles that beat Brady with the help of Brandon Graham. In the Mahomes-Jalen Hurts thing in part 2, it was the Eagle defense that beat Mahomes, and then Hurts took advantage of what the Eagle defense did. Hurts did not beat Mahomes at his own game in that game. The Eagles defense clobbered Pat Mahomes, knocked him into the ground, and Jalen Hurts picked up the pieces and ran with it. So if we look at this, again, without the blurriness of homer vision, and I get it, that's more easier said than done. I understand. But if you look at it like that, does it make a little bit more sense to you? He's a good quarterback. Is he a top 10 athlete on this? Is he a top 10 athlete in this city? I don't know. That's a great question. I think Lane Johnson's a better athlete. I think Saquon Barkley's a better athlete. I think Zach Wheeler's a better athlete. And I think Matt V. Mitchkoff is a better athlete. I think Travis Konechny's a better athlete than Jalen Hurts. I'm looking at this from the athletic standpoint, not from the fact that he won the Super Bowl. And honestly, again, I want to say it till I'm blue in the face. You take away what his contributions were to that team in 2024, and the Eagles, in my opinion, still win the Super Bowl handily. I don't know, man. Matty, the excuses they use for Hurts throwing for only 2,905. Yeah, so what have I heard some of the grand poobah homers out there talking about? He doesn't have to throw stats because when they look at quarterbacks, they look at stats, and that's unfair. Apparently, that's what the grand poobah homers are saying. Don't look at stats. Don't look at stats when you're judging great quarterbacks. It's misleading. No. You got to look at what was it? The intrinsic values of the quarterback, the leadership qualities of that quarterback. And if you're telling me Jalen Hurts is some sort of superior leader, man, you really got to get some help. Is this the same guy that went rogue on his own head coach that said, you know what? I don't trust the head coach to come up with the right play to beat the Seattle Seahawks a couple seasons ago. I'm going to come up with my own. That's a great leader. You know what I mean? The same guy that did not show up with the rest of his team when they went to the White House, regardless of who's occupying the White House and how you might feel politically, but it was the rest of the team was there, and you're the face of that team, but you weren't there. That's the leader that you want to, that's the intrinsic value of leadership you're looking at. Again, I'm not concerned about the politics side of it. I don't care who the president was. Your team was invited to the Super Bowl. You're the starting freaking quarterback. You're the leader. You should have been there. That's the leadership qualities you're looking at. So what is it, homers? What is it? I need to know. Is it the stats that is how you get into the Hall of Fame, or is it the leadership ability? Because right now, Jalen Hurts comes up short on both. So what exactly? Oh, yeah, then the quitter aspect of Jalen Hurts. When he quit Alabama and ran off to Oklahoma because the going got tough with the Crimson Tide. Is that an intrinsic value we look at as far as our leader here? Again, he's a good quarterback. I'll give you that. Super Bowl champion. I will give you that. But top 10? I don't know. There's a big flyer rumor going around. They are closing the trade on a trade to move up. I heard that rumor there, Joe Hale. I really don't think they need to, unless they think they can pick up Michael Misa, which that would have to get them the number 2 overall. They had to leapfrog four teams to get up to 2 to select Michael Misa, who is the best center in this draft. Yes. But Roger McQueen, the big 6'5", 230-pound centerman, again, I'm not saying he's Eric Lindros reincarnated, but he's definitely the Eric Lindros mold, will be sitting there, I think, at 6 for you to go and not give up any assets. So I'm not really involved. I'm not into a trade like that. Maddie, if I push you from behind for 36 inches, no. So again, what Homer Vision activate. It's the 650 pounds he can squat thrust. Is that why he's so dominant with the tush push? No, you're right, Barbara. If I had 3,000 pounds of force pushing me from behind, I would shoot through any line too. Absolutely, 100%. Oh man. If you take pay Mahomes off the Chiefs, they don't win a Super Bowl. If you take pay Mahomes, what's pay Mahomes off the Chiefs, they don't win a Super Bowl. I don't know what you mean, Mike. If you take pay Mahomes, what's that mean? Then you didn't watch any games this season. This was his highlights: 6 interceptions, 9% audible. All right, he's a team leader and doesn't get. So again, speaking of one of the Grand Poobah homers, and he appears. So I did watch the season and quite closely. So heading into the Week 4 bye, where were the Eagles at? I want to know, where were the Eagles in the hierarchy of the NFL? What was their main offensive attack? First 4 games of the season. Was it run heavy? Nah, it wasn't run heavy. What was it? What were they doing or trying to do offensively through the first 4 weeks of the year? I'll wait. Okay, I'll give it up. They were throwing the football, and Jalen Hurts was turning it over at an incredible clip heading into the Week 4 bye. So what did they do? They scrapped the entire offense. So we can't do this anymore. Obviously, we cannot do this anymore with this quarterback. He cannot lead us down the field with his arm. He doesn't understand the complexities of NFL defenses. We're putting too much on him, Mr. Kellen Moore. He doesn't understand your passing attack. And we heard about that in the summertime, did we? Did we not? We heard about that in the summer, where he was having a hard time digesting yet another, and that hasn't been fair to him either, all these damn offensive coordinators. But he was having a hard time digesting the Kellen Moore playbook. Have we forgotten about that, or have homers tuned it out because it doesn't fit your narrative anymore? No, they scrapped the entire offensive attack because it wasn't working, and they went to a run-heavy attack, which was genius because the rest is history. What is it? 461 pass attempts in 2024. Is it 361? Again, I don't have the graphic here. Like 361 pass attempts, 48 times across the middle of the field. The man threw the football. 48 times to the middle of the field through the course of an entire season. Why? Why was he not allowed to throw the ball to the middle of the field? Or maybe he was. Maybe I'm overstepping my bounds and saying, you know what, he was allowed to throw to the middle field but he didn't. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say he was not allowed to attack the center of the field because the team did not trust his ability to properly digest defensive coverages, checkdowns, progressions, all the above. Which, again, it's all mute at this point. The Eagles won. He won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. He's the MVP. Let's move on. But to sit here and try to, once again, slam the idea that Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback, this is what makes homers what you are. Very special. And I won't take that away from you. But it's not working on the rest of us. That's all I'm trying to say. It's okay. It's okay not to be on board with Jalen Hurts. It's okay. Because I guarantee, and I've said this before, if you had an opportunity, even you, Broken Bell Network and all your homer glory, if you had an opportunity to redraft this football team, rebuild this football team, starting with, and I'm going to give you the first overall pick right now in the draft, and you got to start building a team from scratch. Hell, we'll go 53 rounds so you can build an entire team. And the only players you can select are currently in the NFL today. Who are you taking with your number one overall pick? Say with your quarterback, because everybody builds an organization around the quarterback. You're redrafting Jalen Hurts, one overall. You're not. Now, you're going to tell me you are because you're going to support your narrative, but you're not. You're not drafting Jalen Hurts one overall. You're going to draft a Josh Allen. You're going to draft a Pat Mahomes. You're going to draft an actual elite quarterback, which is fine. That's how you win. But the difference between me and you is that I can see that, and I understand that, and I accept it. The Eagles won a Super Bowl. I accept that as well. But I will never accept Jalen Hurts as an elite quarterback, ever, until he proves it, which I still think he can. He still can prove it. But we'll see. All right. Man, why did it jump so far? Where am I? Oh, there I am. Jalen Hurts is not elite. I only saw that because he can't consistently get 230 to 250 yards per game. I don't care if he never averages 300 yards or more than 250 yards, just between 230 and 250 passing per game consistently, especially with those great. And, not enough is paid to those individuals as well. The Devontae Smiths and the A.J. Browns of the world. Which make anyone's job that much easier, right? And I guess when you have wide receivers like that, maybe you don't have to throw it to the middle of the field. And maybe when you have wide receivers like that, the Red Sea parts and you have opportunities to take off on those delayed quarterback scrambles for 25-yard gains. I get all that. And it all lends it in there. But what would Pat Mahomes do with an A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith? Because Pat Mahomes other than Hill, which has been gone for years, Mahomes was winning with less. But what if Mahomes had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? Would anybody ever touch the Kansas City Chiefs? What if Mahomes was behind our offensive line, Saquon Barkley, our wide receivers? Would anyone ever touch Pat Mahomes? Would he be setting records across the galaxy? Would there ever be any question about the eliteness of a Pat Mahomes behind the Philadelphia Eagle offense? Would we be having this conversation about Pat Mahomes here? No. We would be a dynasty. We would be the greatest offensive showcase the earth has ever seen with an actual elite quarterback. We are we're a good offense with a game managing quarterback. But when you get an elite quarterback behind center, dynasty, we're never going to lose again until everybody gets old. 100%. Can fans sponsor any shows? Yeah. What do you want to? You talking about some scratch there, Joe Hale? Man, absolutely. We'll talk offline. That's what you mean. Edmund cards to the Dodge. So Tommy Edmund just got dealt to the Dodgers? Is that what you're trying to say? It's an interesting trade. Maddie, I'm not a fan of the DH play of position on the field. Let the DH be in the AL. I agree, Barbara. It was a sad day when the NL went to the DH. 100% made the NL that much of a special division because you had to be strategic in the NL. You had to be thought-provoking in the NL. You had to consider your pitcher batting in the NL, and then the pinch hitter aspect of it all, situational hitting. And then it's funny because pitchers still pitched more back then with no DH than they do today with a DH. You would think it would reverse itself. Like pitchers would only be pitching 6-7 innings or 5-6 innings back in the day when we didn't have the DH, and they'd be pitching a lot more now with the DH. It's funny how that got reversed. When asked if Harper was playing against the Mets, Thompson replied, he'll be running, fielding, and hitting a baseball this weekend. So that is a no. So what is going on with Bryce Harper's arm, elbow, wrist, whatever the case may be? What is happening with Bryce Harper? Matty B is a total crumb. Oh, man, dude, come at me, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to be I'm sorry to be the realist, man. I'm sorry to be the splash of reality in your day. I really am. Not really, but mush mouth, know nothing. Yeah, well, you know what? That's what happens, Come at me with something better, man. Let's talk. Let's debate. If you have a point you want to make, I'm going to counter it. I'm going to counter it. All right? That's how the world works, man. Ricky, what is up? Hurts is super important to this team, but he is not elite for the reasons mentioned above. So, super important. Let's define that. Let's dive, Ryan, into that. In what aspect is he super important? Again, I've debunked his quarterback play, and I've debunked also his leadership qualities. What is he important? How is he important? Is it the other part of maybe the locker room that we don't see, or I don't see, none of us see? I mean, how important? I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around this. I just don't know. I'm having a hard time not understanding where another quarterback could have come in and done the same exact thing for this team last year, and why Jalen Hurts is that important. I'm just having a hard time with that. And if somebody could explain it to me, I'm all ears, but I still am having a hard time. Eagles had the 29th ranked passing offense. Horrible. But hang on, Ryan. That doesn't support the homers theory of an elite quarterback. Now, the homers typically, when you say that, they throw out Saquon Barkley. Well, we didn't need to have a good passing attack because we had Saquon in his magical season. What are the odds that Saquon has a magical season this year? And I know the football season is right around the proverbial corner, and I cannot wait to get that fired up. But what is the chances, or what are the chances that the Eagles have to rely on something else other than Saquon Barkley in 2025? And can they? Can they rely on something else other than Saquon Barkley? And is the 29th ranked passing offense with those weapons? Again, I mentioned the fact that if Pat Mahomes was here, what would he do with this offense? I mean, how many points would we score a game if Pat Mahomes was leading the way? Would the defense even have to show up, honestly? But what can Jalen Hurts do with the 29th ranked offense if you don't get the same performance you get from Saquon Barkley? And what does this team look like in that aspect? Questions that I'm sure are going to come up at some point this fall. Barkley had a record-breaking year, but the Eagles still wouldn't have let him lead the team in rushing touchdowns. Although it's bizarre that they do find a way for Hurts to be relevant. Well, again, listen, everybody's taking this the wrong way. I'm not bashing Jalen Hurts, but far from it. He's a very good quarterback, I've said that. But he's nothing special. He's not the next coming. He's not. He's a very good quarterback who's led a team to a Super Bowl, and he does some good things. Absolutely. But the up in armness about him not being included in some of these top 11 lists has got me, kind of going on this tangent. Because I'm trying to find out why he belongs there. Right? So that's what I'm not trying to take away what Jalen did. I'm not trying to take away what he can do. I'm not trying to take away the fact that he is the starter. He is a competent starter. He is one of the top 15 quarterbacks in this league. Yes. But I am not prepared in any way to tell you that he's top 3 in the league, or a top 2 in the league, or top 10 even. He's a very good game managing quarterback who doesn't provide any special skill set other than maybe the running. Again, it's okay to say that. I'm nailing it on the head, Maddie, with Hurts as well as the defensive winning. I've thought about this in depth because I'm trying to sell my narrative. It's a big old dance we do, right? I'm blasting the homers for trying to push their narrative. Well, I'm doing the same damn thing, right? Because I'm looking at this from the other side, right? If you take away what the defense, and no one has given the defense the credit they deserve from last season. The stuff that they did, especially in the turnover situation going down the stretch, again, 7 turnovers the team had accumulated 7 turnovers heading into week 9. They finished the season with like 31 turnovers, and they had 13 more in the postseason. Nobody is giving the defense anywhere near the credit they deserve for what happened last year. It's all about Saquon and Jalen. It's never given to the defense. And that's why I'm so concerned about the overall turnover on the defense, losing 6 contributors and going with 6 lesser free agents and some draft picks and some unproven draft picks. I'm telling you, I put Saquon up there, definitely. Defense trumps them all, the way that defense played. Trumps them all. And if they don't get the same effort they get from that defense this year, I don't see the same result because the defense carried them down the stretch. Everyone gives Jalen Hurts all this credit. Well, the field got flipped for Jalen Hurts. Was he the one out there flipping the field? Was he the one giving him the ball on the 35-yard line? No, he wasn't. The defense was up Pat Mahomes' ass the entire game. The defense is the reason why they steamrolled and bulldozed the way through the Commanders with all the turnovers. The defense causing that turnover late in the Ram game with the fumble from Stafford and the Eckler, the running back. The 2 key turnovers in the snow game caused by the defense who sealed the deal. Nobody's giving credit to that defense. And that was the side of the ball hit the hardest in free agency. And everyone's thinking it's an afterthought that, it's just whatever, we'll plug and play. You know, we're going to put Keely Ringo in, and he's never once sniffed the field, but all of a sudden he's going to step up and be a comparable replacement to a Darius Slay or a freaking CJ regardless of how you feel about that guy personally. Oh, that's just going to be a seamless transition. We're going to be good. The guy's never sniffed the field before. I think Eagle fans, not just homers, but Eagle fans are not taking into account the importance of that defense from last year. Fat Dom replaced Hurts at the White House. It was a real embarrassment too. I said it when it happened. Listen. I'm not going to get into a political discussion about it. Whatever you feel about Trump, Biden, politics in general, it was so not that. It was about representing your team, being the face of the franchise, and being a leader. Now, again, I know a little bit about being a leader, right? Sometimes you do things you don't like to do. Sometimes you do things you don't want to do. Sometimes you do things that you just have to do because that's what a leader does. How are you going to make your teammates or expect your teammates to go to somewhere and be somewhere and you're not going to go? You're the leader. You're the guy in the huddle. You're number one. So regardless of his political opinions and his political beliefs, that wasn't what this was about. It was about representing your team, your organization, your city, and your sport. And he failed on all levels. But homers, we buried that story weeks and months ago. We don't talk about that anymore. No one brings that up. Just like nobody brings up the Alabama, I quit because I'm being benched. You don't bring that up about Jalen Hurts. That's leadership quality right there. Adversity. Turning into adversity and facing it other than running away to Oklahoma. That's a leadership quality. And I don't see where he had that quality. I'm not making this up, but you get mad at me when I bring it up. That's the truth. Truth, sometimes it hurts, man. Sometimes it hurts. Does it matter how the Eagles won a Super Bowl? As it's a team sport and there is no I in team. The Patriots won 2 Super Bowls with Adam Vinatieri kicking the game winners. It wasn't torn or okay. Michael, in this case, it was. Okay, I agree. But in this case, it was. You take Saquon Barkley's 2,500 yards out of there. You take the defense's performance out of there. Are the Eagles winning a Super Bowl, Michael Kaepernick? Come on, man. I know you're better than that. Look, I get it. There is no I in team. But I'm not bringing up an I. I'm bringing up a bunch of things. I'm just saying, if you weigh the options or you weigh the contributions of the quarterback, running back, and the defense, and you prioritize them, what was the most important in winning the Super Bowl? Granted, the whole team concept won. I understand that. But if you prioritize the top 3 contributions of 2024, how would you prioritize them? I would do it defense, Saquon, Jalen. And if I got to lose any one of those 3 and still have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl, it's Jalen Hurts that I would lose and say, you know what? I still feel fairly confident in the dominant performance of Saquon Barkley and that way that damn team defense played, that I'm still going to win a Super Bowl. But if you take the defense away from me and you leave me with Jalen and Saquon, I don't know if I'm winning a Super Bowl. You take Saquon away from me and leave me with Jalen and the defense, I don't know if we win a Super Bowl. I'm just looking at it through that lens. That's all. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. Mahomes was absolutely sucked in 3 Super Bowls, 7 interceptions. Yeah. It's terrible. Terrible. You may take Pat Mahomes, I meant off the Chiefs. They did not win a Super Bowl. Yeah, I agree. Pat Mahomes is the greatest quarterback in the league. I agree. You keen Pat. What? Pat Mahomes, I meant. What you guys are talking about? What are you guys talking about? My spelling sucks. Michael, you've lost me, man. I'm lost in the sauce. My phone always does it. I love watching you. Yeah, whatever. I don't even know who you are. The normal for a decent quarterback is 4,000 and Hurts threw for 3,600, including 4 playoff games. That is terrible. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. Barbara, I agree. And listen, we take it to such extremes, right? I am not saying, again, I get this tattoo across my forehead. I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback. No, I'm not. I'm not saying that we're bad off or worse off for having him. No, he fits in with this team very well. Absolutely. But what I am saying, again, I've said it over and over again, he is not elite. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's, I wish I had the stat here, but I don't. He's a good quarterback. Okay. But he is nowhere in the pantheon of elite quarterbacks. Absolutely nowhere. You notice how when I asked the question, how you redraft your team and you got to take a quarterback, remember that the homer left, man, he took off because he doesn't want to answer that question because he knows it'd be ridiculous if he said Hurts. I'm just saying that, man. I'm not saying we're bad with Hurts. We're good with Hurts. I'm just saying we're with Hurts. And there's a lot worse places we could be. There's better places, but there's a lot worse. That's all I'm trying to say. Phillies 1-2. They have indeed. What if Hurts was in the Bengals with their terrible O-line and terrible defense? He'd be out of the NFL. Absolutely. 100%. But with Pat Mahomes, would Pat Mahomes be out of the NFL if they had him on the Chiefs or Bengals? Chiefs have number 1 defense against the 49ers in the Super Bowl the year after beating the Eagles, but nobody wants to talk about that as the Chiefs offense was not the forefront of the team. Yeah, no, you're right. Again, I'm listening. This is Michael. Are you arguing for Pat Mahomes or are you arguing against Pat Mahomes not being an elite quarterback? If you're arguing for Pat Mahomes not being an elite quarterback, I ask you this question. If you had to take Jalen Hurts or Pat Mahomes to build a franchise around, who are you taking? That's a simple question. If you had to take one or the other, who are you taking? You're right. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that you're wrong. But if you had to redraft your team and you had two quarterbacks to choose from. You're on the clock, and there's two quarterbacks left, and it's Pat Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Who you taking? Again, just putting it out there like that. Speak for yourself, I love, man. I don't know. Am I missing a side conversation somewhere? If Kenny Pickett was the quarterback of the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, which stopped Saquon, would Pickett have been able to put up Jalen numbers? I think so. I don't know. That's a great question. I have no idea. But the defense definitely would have provided him an opportunity to. They would have put him in a position to cash in. I don't know if he does or not. It's a moot point. It's an absolute moot point. But we would have said the same thing in 2017 about Carson Wentz. Oh, my God, he tore his ACL. We're done. Nick Foles can't go in there and do that. And if I asked you, Michael Kaepernick, back in 2017, could Carson Wentz or could Nick Foles go in and go head-to-head with Brady and beat him? It would sound the same ridiculous as this question is, right? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just telling you that the quarterback, this year's version of the Eagles, was not the most important part of our Super Bowl championship. It wasn't. And in my opinion, it was the most replaceable part. That's all. The Phillies are talking to the Cardinals for Ryan. Say goodbye to friggin' Aiden Miller. Say goodbye to Andrew Painter or Mick Abel. One of them is going to be involved in that trade. Oh, man. Listen. Interesting point here. Ryan Hesley, a closer. What? Are we converted? All I want to say, he's a closer. All right. We brought a closer here last year. We didn't use him as a closer every time. And look what Carlos Estevez kind of pewtered down the stretch, right? Ryan Hess is one of the better closers in all the game. And we're going to bring him here to be a friggin' bullpen with no role guy. Like, hey, you know what? Yeah, we know you're a friggin' closer, dude, but we need you in the eighth inning. We need you in the eighth inning, man. Get out there and do what you got to do. Maddie, you and I are the ones speaking the truth on Hurts. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the truth hurts, man. Sometimes it hurts. I agree again with you, Maddie. You're misunderstanding me. This is why I hate typing. Everything you're bringing up and the remarks you were making are perfectly in agreement with me. One being without Barkley, then what? Defense carrying them too. You're nailing your remarks. Thank you, Ryan, man. You're killing it, man. Ryan, I love you. Again, Mahomes still did very good. Yeah, he did. Mahomes, listen, I'll ask you that same. I'll ask everybody. You had to redraft the Eagles, and you're down to your okay, obviously quarterback is your number one concern when you're drafting. But say there's only two quarterbacks left on the board, and you're picking. And the only two on the board are Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes. Who are you drafting? Who are you drafting, and why are you drafting them? And if you're a Hurts supporter, and what I mean by that, if you believe Hurts is an elite quarterback, I should be seeing Jalen Hurts' name popping up all over the place. I don't see any of that. I see lots of quiet. Lots of silence, right? Listen, we got Jalen Hurts. You won a Super Bowl, but if you had an opportunity to upgrade, one, can you upgrade from a Jalen Hurts? And two, who would that upgrade be? I think the answer to question one is absolutely you can upgrade from Jalen Hurts. There's probably about 5 different options out there that you could go to. And yes, Pat Mahomes would be one of those options. So if you had to redraft your football team today, with only two quarterbacks on the board, Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, who you drafted? I want to hear from you and support your choice. Tell me why. I guarantee you I won't see anything. I will not get one comment on that because they know what I'm talking about. Chiefs focused on stopping Barkley in the Super Bowl. That's why Hurts did good. Barkley was stopped because that's all the Chiefs. Yeah, 8 in the box, and then the defense flipping the field. You're absolutely, it opened things up. Listen, I'm not taking away what Jalen did in the Super Bowl, 100%, but I'm also not saying that any other quarterback could have done that. I'm not saying that what Jalen did, what I am saying, obviously, is that any other quarterback could have done what Jalen Hurts did in the Super Bowl, 100%, or similar to what he did, or enough to win, based on what the rest of the team was doing for him. But the pick 6 from Cooper DeJean. Don't talk about that anymore, do we? Don't talk about the dominant performance of the defense anymore. So, search your feelings. You know it be true. So, WIP scratched an itch with their top 11 athlete list in the city of Philadelphia, and it sent the Jalen Hurts, what do you call them? Apostles, disciples? What do you call them? Running for the hills. Well, wait. Did I just miss a whole bunch of them? There we go. Brady is head and shoulders better than Mahomes, and proof is on the ground game tape. And I hate to admit that Brady is probably the greatest quarterback ever to play the game. Kenny Pickett is horrible. I'm not denying that. Can I tell me how many good years Nick Foles had as a starter in the NFL? Well, all the years that he started for the Eagles. Don't forget, Nick Foles never got a. Damn it! Can I get into the studio? Hang on. Listen, you mentioned it. I don't want to lose the feed. If I lose the feed, it's your fault, Michael. But I'm gonna do it here. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. Wait, am I still here? Can you guys still see me? All right, we're back. All right, let's do this, Michael Papernick. You asked for it. You're gonna get it. Here we go. This is where we are right now. All right, as of today, as of whatever this day is in 2025. These are the numbers of Jalen Hurts and Nick Foles right now. Nick Foles started 44 games for the Eagles, 68 touchdowns, 27 interceptions for 165 yards, 26-18 record, 4-2 playoffs, Super Bowl MVP, and champion with a 62.1% quarterback rating. Jalen Hurts, 66 games started, 95 touchdowns, 40 interceptions, 1,466 career yards, 42-20 record, 6-3 playoffs and Super Bowl champion MVP. And what was his? I got the little ticker going. Let me get that down so I can see it. And his QBR, or his quarterback percentage, is 62.7. So you're telling me, based on this, and again, I'm not making this up. Now, it's a little skewed because Jalen Hurts has started 20 some odd or 18 games more than Nick Foles did. Nick Foles was never given a damn legit shot to be the starter here. And let's kind of go down that road too. Nick Foles was never given a legit chance. He was brought here by Andy Reid, and everybody kept making excuses of why Nick Foles could not start. But yet every time he did have an opportunity through injury or whatever to start, he made noise. What, the 7 touchdowns in one game. The 2013 season as a whole was an amazing season, comparable to what Jalen did in 2022, right? And look at these career numbers. It's a little off because of the game disparity. I get you, but they're somewhat similar. They're somewhat similar, and I'm not making this stuff up. So yes, I would have taken Nick Foles. I would love to see what Nick Foles could do with this offense. I think he could do the same exact thing that Jalen Hurts is doing. So I had to show that stat because it's bothering me. And then this one here. Without Saquon Barkley, the Eagles equal nothing. Saquon had the Eagle offense this season totaled 6,242 total yards and 53 touchdowns. Saquon accounted for 2,283 all-purpose yards and 15 of those touchdowns. He accounted for 37% of the Eagles' offense and 28% of the total touchdowns. So you're telling me you take that out of the mix, the Eagles win the Super Bowl. These are numbers that I did not make up. This is the truth. And I know it hurts. You did get that? I know it does sting a bit, but it's the truth. God damn it, man. Pissing me off. Oh, man. Where am I at now? Oh, God. So there we go. That was the response to your question. Estevez was only a closer for a short amount of time before coming here. Yeah, but he was not an 8th inning guy. He had closer stuff. Come on. Mahomes all day, Burrow, Allen, Jackson, all before Hurts. Yep. Was responding to Michael with that, Maddie. Okay. I'm lost. Hurts didn't do much at all in the first half. Defense won the game before halftime, then the second half stat padding. Except that one little touchdown he had. I forget to who, but that was a nice pass. Nick Foles had one good year in the NFL in his career. I just showed you Nick Foles' complete career numbers as an Eagle. Jalen Hurts has gotten tons of help with those wins, 100%. In 2014, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 21-63. Again, I'm Nick Foles is way better than Jalen Hurts. I agree, 100%. Nick only threw 27 touchdowns and 13 were the most LOL. Listen, I just showed you his career numbers. Truth, the Eagles have never had a franchise quarterback that compares other teams. And that's a very good point, Barbara. We're arguing over nickels and dimes here. Barbara's going to be the voice of reason here. We've never had a true franchise quarterback. Jalen Hurts, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, Donovan, Randall, Jaworski. The list goes on and on and on. Jim McMahon, remember them days? We haven't. That's a point that I think escapes a lot of people. And Barbara, thank you for bringing us back to reality. We're arguing over nickels and dimes, right? We're not arguing over dollar bills. We're not arguing over Brady, or we're not arguing over Montana versus Young. Okay, we're arguing over nickels and dimes. And the bottom line is we've never had a true franchise quarterback. Good point, Barbara. It's a mic drop moment right there, Barbara. And unfortunately, I have the mic. But good job. Good job. Barbara brought reality back to the chat. Man. Yeah, that's a woman for you. Right. All right. Let's segue. I want to use that as a segue because it's the proper segue. Let's go to our of the night segment. All right, we're back. The other night segment tonight, we're back into the NHL draft because, as I mentioned, we're getting way long in the tooth, and I still got a bunch of these prospects to go through. So tonight, here we go. Top 10 actual prospect here. Malcolm Spence, a left wing from the Erie Otters of the OHL. 6'2", 192 pounds, fast, hardworking player who can get off the transition or attack off the wall. He plays the game with intention, sticks with plays, and has decent though not dynamic skill. He plays with pace on and off the puck, moves his feet, keeps moving. So as far as left wingers go, sorry about that, Malcolm. As far as left wingers go, he is definitely, I think, top 10, top 15 pick in this draft. Some people have projected him as high as 5, but I see him. He's not. The centers are going to dominate. Matthew Schaefer and the centers will dominate the first 6 or 7 picks of this draft. But then after that, the Malcolm Spences of the world will come into play. He's a spark plug type player. He's a third liner. I think he comps out to be a third liner in the NHL, but we could definitely use him on our third line. But unfortunately, he plays a position in which we have a plethora of players, and I don't think the Flyers are in play for him. But some teams will be, and I think around that 12 through 15 mark of the first round. And there you go. Malcolm Spence is our NHL draft prospect of the night as we're getting close, man. End of the month, baby. End of the month is when we are going to be doing the NHL draft. So cannot wait. Did I lose it all again? Where are you guys? Michael Papernick says Nick Foles only threw double-digit touchdowns 3 times. He did it twice with the Eagles, 27. And how many Super Bowls does Nick Foles have? How many Super Bowls does Jalen Hurts have? Okay, I'm sorry. How many Super Bowl MVPs is Nick Foles? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, Michael. I don't mean to rain on the parade. Nick Foles is a gold medal pickleball player, a true athlete. I'm not saying, listen, Steve, he's another Hurts apostle, right? I brought up a very interesting stat. I compared the 2 careers up to this point of Jalen Hurts and Nick Foles. And numbers are eerily similar at this particular moment in time. Now, of course, the game started well in Jalen Hurts' favor because Nick Foles never got an opportunity to really be the starter here. Had small spurts of time where he got the opportunity. And I thought he did great, but they never committed to him for whatever reason. And I'm not here to argue that. But when he was given the opportunity, he succeeded here. Nowhere else but here. Except for a very brief period with the Kansas City Chiefs when he was backing up. And he had to come in for Alex Smith that one year. But I think comparably at this point of their careers, and Jalen Hurts' career is still ongoing, Nick Foles' career is done in Philadelphia and everywhere else, that it's not a slam dunk that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in NFL in Eagle history. And Barbara brought a great point to the board by saying, ultimately, we haven't even had a true franchise quarterback in the entire history of the franchise, modern history of the franchise. It was a mic drop moment that brought us all back to reality. Who is on the Fightins final for this weekend? I said it during the show, didn't I? But I'll bring it up. This weekend on the Fightins final is not here. Oh, there it is. Here you go. The Mets is not Al. Al's gotten. I saw something of a text message that says Al's having some power issues, and he will be 12 o'clock. Oh man, I'll be there all friggin' day. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna be there all day tomorrow. Al has having some power issues, so I'm not sure who's going to be there tomorrow night, but Pat will be there Saturday, and I will be there on Sunday. So there you go, Joe Hale. There's your Fightins final lineup for the weekend, as we know it now. Nick lost a starting job to Case Keenum. Did I just say here, right? I didn't say anywhere else. I agree. He did not succeed anywhere else but here, except for one brief moment of time with the Chiefs as a backup. Pacers are winning by 30 tonight, forcing Game 7. Who cares? Barbara, I'm sorry. I have not watched 1 ounce of basketball all season. Foles never got the opportunity anywhere because he was the only a good backup. I don't know. In some alternate universe, maybe he does get the chance here to be the starter, and who knows how that worked out. But you're right. In reality, he was never given an opportunity for whatever reason it was. I don't know why. But let's wrap up this and let's get into our my favorite part of the night, which now I got to go back into the other studio because I don't have this here. So let's transition back to here. And you gotta love this stuff. Let's go to our favorite part of the night. Here it is. All right, that's right. Welcome to the Matty B card review segment of the night, and let's move to this because I have it here. So tonight we're back in baseball, and we're out of the 87 tops, so no more of that. That is definite. That's going to be done for a while. Well, I'm not going to lie. Not lying there. But we're going to go into a lower level of tops cards. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this out there in the market, but currently there's a high demand for anything tops from 1986 and earlier. 87 and beyond is somewhat saturated in the market, but 86 and lower, if you have baseball cards dating from the dawn of time to 1986, you could possibly move them for a decent penny. They're in demand right now. And it's the way the market goes. It trends in weird ways, but that's what's currently hot, right? And tonight is one of those pre-86 cards. We're going to go to the 84 top set. And talk about our card of the night tonight. I know you guys are like, what? No 87 tops? No, we're not doing that. We're not 82 tops. John Denny, we're not doing that. No, we're not. We're doing an all-time Philly, though, from his 84 Topps series. The greatest Phillies pitcher of all time in any era, of course. And the greatest left-handed pitcher of all time in Major League Baseball. And that was Mr. Steve Carlton. And this is his 84 Topps NL All-Star card. So it was an insert card of the 84 series. This is not his player card from that set. It's the insert, the special parallel, whatever. Before parallels were refractors and all this other nonsense that they do, which are big money. But before that was the All-Star card or your Diamond Kings cards from Dunross or your AL leader or your leaders cards from 88 Topps. Those special insert parallel type cards. And in 84, they ran, and this was what their all-star cards looked like. Every year, Topps did an all-star card as part of their set. And this was what 84s looked like. And this is Steve Carlton's 84. Now, this is based off of the stats that Steve compiled in the 83 season, which I think, honestly, if you kind of go back in time, and I was there for this. That was probably his last great season as a Phillies starting pitcher, as the 83 season in a whole was the last great Phillies season for, at least 10 years until 93 came around. And this was Carlton's career kind of went started kind of a sharp decline starting in 84. But this is his 84 tops based off his 83 stats. And this card in its base form, which is worth $20 as a 9. That's a PSA 9. You're looking at a $20 card, which is pretty unique, even though it's Steve Carlton. Yes, a Hall of Famer, the greatest left-hander ever to play the game. But it's a base card. It's nothing special about it, but it's pre-86, right? It's in that pre-86 era. And it's as a 9.5 right now. I found this card for about $20. Now, as far as design value goes, and as far as how Topps, kind of went with the 84 set in general, ain't nothing real special about this. This is pretty no frills. This is 1984 at its finest, if you ask me. But this was what they went for. I mean, it's not god awful. It looks like some 12-year-old put it together in terms of the graphic. I mean, how basic can you get with writing Phillies down the side with an all-star and a star? I mean, I don't really know how much more basic you can get than that, but it doesn't wow the eyes, but it's Steve Carlton. And if you can come across this card like I have, and you grade it out to at least a 9.5, you're looking at about a $20 baseball card. So I'm pretty impressed with it. And here you go. Here's mine right here. As I said, these cards are not graded. So based on what I can see from this card, just in the visual, sharp edges, sharp corners, good centering, and not much fading, no fading at all for an 84 card. So I'm looking at maybe $20, $25. Matter of fact, it's on sale right now on my eBay for $20. But there you go. Steve Carlton, the 84 NL All-Star card was our card review of the night. And that was fun to do with Steve because, I don't need to get into Steve Carlton. We don't need to talk about Steve Carlton. We talk about him all the time. But it's I picked that card up actually I traded, matter of fact, this card here in a 1981 Tug McGraw card, I picked up at a card show for an 87 Barry Bonds rookie, which is worthless right now because of the situation he has with the Hall of Fame. So I traded a Barry Bonds rookie Topps 87 for this card and a Tug McGraw 81 card. So I thought it was a pretty good trade. And then, of course, he'll get in the Hall of Fame. And, well, I already, thankfully, I have multiples of Barry Bonds. I am not a Hertz apologist. Hertz has peaked to what he will be in the NFL. He's a good quarterback who needs a supporting cast. Okay. Then I misjudged Steve. I apologize. You should have a weekly show of just your baseball cards. I think it would work. Yeah, Barbara, I maybe that's something we can maybe look at potentially in the winter. But I do not have the time for that right now. But that's something we could look at as we grow the network. Maybe something like in the dead of winter to get us ready for baseball season and all that. That would actually probably be a good idea. Who's your favorite Phillies baseball card? Like what's my favorite Phillies baseball card that I own, or like what is my favorite Phillies baseball card? But I guess to answer your question, my favorite card that I own is my 82 Schmidt. Anything Mike Schmidt, really. Any Mike Schmidt card you can get your hands on, to me are my favorites. But as far as all time, I love to get a Robin Roberts or Jim Bunning. They would be good cards to have. But as far as favorite that I own, it'd be Mike Schmidt, pretty much. I mean, I have a John Kruk 87 Topps, which is from his rookie card when he was a Padre. And I have a couple other Padre cards from him. It's good to see Phillies and different, iconic Phillies players before they came here. Like a 72 Carlton would be like gold. You could find one when he was in St. Louis, or a rookie card from Carlton. Lenny Dykstra's rookie card with the Mets in 87 or 86. No, 87. Yeah, I've been 87. That's a pretty good card to have. And I have that. But I guess what my favorite card is that I have is probably Schmidt. But good show off the bat. Thank you, Michael Papernick, and enjoy the rest of your night. Barbara's also going to sleep. Barbara, thank you very much for tuning in. I have many trio Ooh, that's a good card. Have you ever priced it out? Send me a picture of it. All right, listen, the twofer, we did it. I did a twofer. I started this show back at 9:30, and we did a. Oh, by the way, Steve Fuentes, I apologize for stepping all over the attacking third. I had to. I was going back to back. But if you missed the attacking third while you're listening to me, Amaron, so you can go back and watch that show. So please do if you missed it. But thank you for joining into the Fightins Final as we did a twofer. We made history tonight on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. The first time we went back to back, I did a doubleheader. So I'm back even. But this is our final word of the week. And I will be back Sunday, maybe. Well, no, I won't be back Sunday. I'll be back Sunday night for the Fightins Final. But because it's a night game, the 7 o'clock game on ESPN, there will be no final word following that because I am hosting the post game. So we will not be back on the final word till Monday night. But hopefully next week is better. Hopefully I can get more in tuned. And hopefully my schedule works out better. So we talk again. Make sure you're checking out the It's a Wrap Sports Network tomorrow for the wraparound with Pat Bernard. All weekend long, we got you covered for Phillies, Mets. I already showed it. I'll show it again. There you go. There's our schedule. And then on Sunday, I'll be back with the Fightins Final on Sunday night. And then Sunday morning is the PM and the AM. So make sure you're checking all that stuff out. I will talk to you guys when I see you. Yeah, definitely. And you guys have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend. Go Phils. And we will talk soon.